It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Seattle Storm's Creative Services, Josh Sige. Are you doing today?
I'm good, man. How you doing? I'm excited to finally get on here and talk to you.
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to work in professional sports?
So for me, I kind of got my start. I interned with a AA baseball team called the Erie SeaWolves. We were the Detroit Tigers AA affiliate, and I didn't know I really wanted to work in sports until I got that internship. I kind of just applied for it just for the heck of it, and I got it. And that was 4 years ago, and kind of the rest is history. I kind of just fell in love with working in athletics and being around athletes, and the driven, determined mindset that you have to work in sports is something that I mesh with very well. And there are a lot of great people that work in this industry. So kind of getting my feet wet in baseball made me just kind of fall in love with the job. I love it a lot. It's great.
What was your time like as the athletic videography for Penn State?
So I kind of did a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It was like a student position, you know what I mean? So it wasn't a super serious. There wasn't a lot of responsibility. It was kind of just, again, another thing to get my feet wet. They would kind of just send me out, have me go shoot this, go shoot that, bring it back, do something or other. But it was a good way to get started in athletics, because it can be pretty hectic without really stressing me out and making me not want to do it anymore. So that was cool. I was a big fan of that. Yeah.
What was your time like at Erie SeaWolves?
That was an interesting one. I loved the organization. I found out working there that baseball wasn't for me. Working in baseball is a hard job. It's, you have 100 plus games a year. And even in AA, we might have had 60 or 70 home games. But the WNBA season, we have 20 home games. So we get to do a lot of the same work. We get to do a lot of the same stuff. But working in baseball is really hard, and you got to be really committed. I loved it, but I don't know if I'd want to do it again. If the right person came calling, I would. It was tough, but it was a lot of fun. It was really rewarding, and I learned a lot from it. I'm really happy that I got some experience in baseball.
What was it like transitioning from baseball to basketball and first working in the NBA G League with the Erie BayHawks?
Oh boy, that was tough for me. I was kind of still in college, and I kind of just came upon a team that was willing to take a chance on me and kind of hire someone to do a lot of their social media and graphic design in-house, because that's not something that they typically had in their budget. So it was great. They gave me my first chance to kind of prove myself in athletics, and working in the G League is tough. There's not a whole lot of money going on in the G League, so you might not have the equipment you need or the things you need to get your job done, but you have to do it either way. So like I said about the SeaWolves and working in AA baseball, it was a learning experience for me. I had to do a lot with a little. It was kind of trial by fire, but like I said, again, it was one of the most rewarding experiences I've had. And I met a lot of lifelong friends there too. I'm currently working with a couple of people that I worked with at that team. I don't know. I love basketball, and being able to work in basketball every day, it doesn't feel like a job. And it didn't then, and it doesn't now. It's great.
What were some of your roles and responsibility as the creative director for them?
So my basic day-to-day was I managed the social media along with another person at the team at the time. But basically my job was to do everything generally creative. So billboards, that was on me. Social media advertisements, social media posts, little score updates, things like that. Even to things in arena, like the intro video, sponsorships in arena, anything visual was pretty much my responsibility. So, like I said, it was a lot of work, but it was really rewarding, and I have to say it was one of my most favorite things I've had the privilege of doing in this industry.
What was the transition like from you from going from the NBA G League to making that big jump to the WNBA?
Oh man, I'm still trying to figure that out, dude, to be honest with you. It's a different animal. Like women's and men's sports are perceived so differently. That you're still selling basketball, right? But unfortunately it's thought of as different. You know what I mean? And it's not perceived the same way as men's basketball is. So for me personally, like promoting women's sports and promoting a lot of the things that we promote with our platforms means more to me than the sport itself. Promoting a lot of the social issues that we do means more to me than I love saying I work for a WNBA team, but I love being able to say that I promote these issues and help spread awareness for them just a little bit more. So yeah, it's been different. And not only is it a bigger league, there are bigger budgets, there are bigger things to do, there's a little more pressure. So yeah, I love the G League, but the WNBA was a good step, and I'm a big fan of it. And I got to tell you what, man, these people that I'm working with, they're great. They're awesome, and they really care here. It's a league that's full of great talent, not only on the court, but off the court. And it's been an absolute privilege to be a part of it.
What are your roles and responsibility as working in the WNBA with the Seattle Storm?
So my responsibility, I'm a video production associate. That's kind of my technical title, but I do a lot of graphic design, assist the social media team, things like that. So day to day, it's like we do everything from creative video shoots, like shooting an intro video, a fun sort of thing like that. Or then we do things like little like clinics, little basketball clinics for some of our corporate partners, things like that. So a lot of video, a lot of graphic design, things like that. You know what I mean? And then one of the best parts about this job is that we have game days. So on game days, which are, ask anybody in sports, most of the time they're going to tell you game days are their favorite part. But on game days, I basically run around with one of these and get stuff for our social team so that they can kind of put our followers on the court with us. You know what I mean? We try our best to gather the most high quality content we can during games. And yeah, that's kind of our job. It's great. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of fun though. I love it.
What is it like to work hand in hand with the social media team to gather content?
It's cool because a lot of people think that social media is like easy, right? Like it's like deciding or figuring out what people like, what people are going to interact with, what we can do to build kind of build our brand better, drive more engagement, and get people to see what we're doing. You know what I mean? So where I excel in, making things that look good, our social media team excels at figuring out what people want. And then they translate that to me and I figure out how to make that. So that's kind of the dynamic between me and the creative services department or the art department or whatever you want to call it and the social media team.
What is it like to help run the social media? And do you see how do you balance your personal life and running social media?
So I don't actually run any of the accounts. I make things for the accounts. That's my primary role. But I have ran social media accounts in the past. When I worked in the G League, that was part of my responsibility. So, it's hard because sometimes, you don't always know what's going to work. You look through social media, you see what's going on, you see what's trending, you see what's happening, but you never know if what you're doing. Sometimes you do, but you don't really know if what you're doing is going to work out most of the time, and you just hope for the best and hope that what you're doing is going to make sense and is going to land with people. But running social media, it can be wild sometimes. It's a 24/7 job. If something happens on your team, say you have a player movement or a coaching movement or anything that happens, if it happens at 10 p.m., you're working. That's just kind of how it is. But that's what you sign up for when you start to do that job. So it's fulfilling. It can be tiring, but it's a very fulfilling job and one that I know firsthand most social media managers don't take lightly. Also, you're the team's voice. That's a big responsibility. And like I said, they don't take it lightly, and especially in the WNBA where we focus on a lot of social issues and things that are, I think, more serious than basketball. It can be a big responsibility, and I don't envy them because they got a lot of weight on their shoulders. They really gotta be on their game.
Of course, during COVID, what was it like to be the videographer when there was no fans in the stadiums?
Oh my God. Well, my favorite part is game days, like I told you, and the energy that we get from our fans. I mean, when we say, it's not the same without our fans, like, we're not just saying it, you know what I mean? Like, we love it. It's kind of one of the things that gets not only our players going, but it gets me going too. Like seeing people getting up and cheering for my team and some things that I do and potentially a part of it. Really it's, again, like I said, it's one of the most fulfilling parts of this job, and not having them, that was rough. And then in addition to that, not having fans in arena and also playing remotely and in a bubble, I wasn't able to go to the bubble when I was working in the G League last season. So that was its own storm of things that happened, no pun intended. But that was its own storm of things that happened, working remotely, working a couple thousand miles away from where your team's playing. It was tough, but like I told you, we had a good staff of people, and we were able to get the job done. But yeah, COVID is it's shaken the whole, I think, the whole sports world up. It's everything's different now. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's kind of wild, to be honest with you.
What is the process like if a player in the WNBA wants like a video that you do?
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
What is the process like for like if a player in the WNBA wants like a video that you create while at the game?
So we kind of have internal ways of dealing with that. It's either through like personal contact, but I know that there are some teams that use certain platforms to kind of because the players at the end of the day, we're taking videos and photos of them, and they're going to want them. So we have our ways of doing it. There are some less formal ways of doing it, and then there are more formal ways of doing it, whether it be through some sort of technology platform or something like that. But yeah, large in part, if our players want something, their photos of them, their videos of them, as long as it fits our what we're doing, what we're trying to do, yeah, we pretty much get it to them however is most convenient for us.
What is something that you learned now that you didn't know about before working in creative services in the sports industry of professional sports?
I think the thing I learned by working in sports is that, I don't know, man. I think I learned that I'm capable of working a lot of hours. I think that's what I learned. And that I can survive on like 4 hours of sleep. I think that's the thing I learned the most. Sports is just, I tell people this all the time, sports is just, sorry about that. Sports is just a different world than anything else. It's not as formal as business. You're working with athletes. You're working in crowds of thousands and thousands of people. It's just a different animal. There's so much to learn. I mean, we could talk about that for hours and hours and hours. I mean, yeah, but the biggest takeaway is I'm okay with working a lot. It's my biggest takeaway. Yeah.
What advice would you give somebody looking to work in professional sports in the videography side?
I mean, I think I just had a conversation with someone about this today. I mean, the best way to do it is really just like take whatever opportunity you can. And like, I think that a lot of times people will get hung up on, the hours that you have to put in. Some of the things you have to do might not be as exciting as some people want to do. But, there's a lot of opportunity out there to get into sports. It's not easy. It takes a lot of work. It's quite difficult, and you're going to learn a lot, and you'll make mistakes. But I think if you just take whatever opportunity you can get, you'll get to where you want to go. And the best tip that I tell anybody that asks me this, is you got to network. You got to talk to people, because like that's key. If people don't know who you are, you could be the best graphic designer, videographer, photographer in the world, but if people don't know who you are, you probably aren't going to get hired. You know what I mean? So yeah, if I could say anything, it's network, and don't be afraid to work some long hours and potentially do some things that you don't want to do. And what I mean by that is like when I worked in AA baseball, and I'd be willing to bet that this is pretty commonplace among most teams, but like we get calls at like 10 o'clock at night, we got to pull the tarp on the field. Like, I don't want to do that, but it's a part of the job, you know what I mean? And nobody really complains about it. It's just like, we're a team. We got to do it. You're gonna have to do some things you don't want to do. You're gonna have to work a lot of hours. But if you play your cards right, you could have what is, in my opinion, the most fulfilling career that anybody could have. Yeah, I think that's my advice.
That's
My
great
little
advice.
speech.
Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Seattle Storm at?
So you can find the Seattle Storm at Seattle Storm on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can find me at JSIGE5875 on Instagram and any other platform. You can find me there. And I have a website. It's jsigemedia.com. So if you want to check my stuff out, go ahead.
Thank you again, Josh Sige, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with the Seattle Storm.
Thanks, Brandon. I appreciate it. I love what you do, man. And it was a privilege to get on here and talk to you today, bud.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Josh, for your interview, and best of luck.
No problem, man.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.